Well, well, would you look at that? It's a brand new video. It's been a while since we had one of those. So hello and welcome to Eastern Sun. This is the second map from Stardate 20x7. We've got a lot of ground to cover with this one, so let's get right to it. Eastern Sun is one of my favorite levels in 20x7. Visually it's a continuation of Sun Moon Stars, though set much deeper within the wilderness. This map is rather freeform and open-ended, and much like the previous one, it can be quite confusing on the first playthrough. Our goal is to get both yellow and purple keys so that we can access the well leading to the underground passage. As usual, we can get those keys in any order, but Eastern Sun introduces an interesting twist to the formula. It's no surprise that the keys are heavily guarded, and we have to go through very difficult encounters to acquire them. However, at one point we come across a shrine of sorts with both of those keys free for the taking. The catch? We can only grab one of them. What that means is that if you're not a completionist, you can actually skip whichever fight you think is worse and cut down the amount of risk, which should help you in getting a successful exit. It's very interesting. Eastern Sun follows the path of the esoteric level progression that will probably not make much sense unless you analyze it in the editor. The area of pillars serves as a hub for the rest of the map. If we continue forward and scale the hills, we'll end up on a yellow key path. This route also grants us access to the control room that requires both keys to unlock the way to the caverns, as well as a couple of optional areas. In order to get to the key, we need to drop down into the dark Archvile cavern, but it's blocked off. To lower the pillars, we need to get to this strange little cave and press the switch over there. But to be able to jump onto the ledge that takes us there, we have to lower the platform with the arachnotron. There are two ways to do this, regular one and a secret one. The regular way requires us to go in the direction of the control room and press the lion switch in the tunnel. This permanently lowers the spider platform, but also blocks the tunnel with a secret soul sphere. To avoid that, we have to use this candle over here. My guess is that Ribbiks did this just to confuse the player, and all I can say is that it works. Once the pillars leading to the dark cave are lowered, we can drop down there, but we'll get to that later. The hub area connects to two more points of interest. There's the yellow skull switch that opens the nearby bars, and this little camp to the side where the skull itself can be acquired. Going up the stairs beyond the bars gives us access to two key locations. Going west takes us to the shrine that contains both keycards, while the wooden pillars to the east eventually lead us to the purple key area. Just like many other things in those first two levels, the way to get to the shrine is overtly convoluted. We need to press the switch in the cave which lowers the pillar outside for a moment, and once we get on top of it, we can shoot the button that briefly lowers the floor in this passage so that we can jump onto the ledge on the other side. This jump is actually rather tricky, and embarrassingly enough I failed it like 6 times during this demo. Now you might be thinking, why is all this so complicated? What's the point? Well, to me this is one of the most fascinating aspects of 20x7. Some of those levels are made with no regard to the player's convenience. Some might see it as bad design, but in my opinion it makes those maps feel more natural and adventurous. We're just visitors in those strange places. They're not tailored for our liking and enjoyment. Sometimes we may not fully understand what's going on, and it makes it more realistic. Everything is weird, confusing, and alien. I really like that, and I'm glad Ribbiks is not afraid to design maps this way. There are a few interesting curiosities in Eastern Sun. The first one is the destroyed boat just behind the starting area. I like little seemingly random details like that. I'm not sure if he used that boat to get here, or maybe it's been there for a while. We'll probably never know. I've also always been fascinated by this camp over here. It looks like someone's been here before and set up all this equipment to research and study this alien world. I don't know why, but it really triggers my imagination. Next, we have this dead marine that is visible from the secret plasma rifle area. Interestingly, there are shells over there, but we can't actually grab them. I guess it might be possible to make Archvile jumps back and forth, but it would not be worth it anyway. I wonder if that place was supposed to be accessible, but Ribbiks blocked it off during the level construction. Maybe it's there just to make us wonder. I like the second option better. I prefer to think it's there just to make the place feel more natural and realistic. Here we have another interesting and confusing thing. See this, what I can only assume is a glass cabinet with armor bonuses? We cannot actually take them, but interacting with it opens a secret with a mega armor nearby. It's very strange. I wonder what Ribbiks tried to portray here. I think that everyone who has ever tried doing a UVMax playthrough of this level knows about this lone imp standing next to the gravestone. This area is, to my knowledge, completely inaccessible, and as such this imp cannot be killed, which means that it's not possible to get 100% kills on this map. Once again, I'm left wondering, what was the intention here? Is it just a random detail, or is there some hidden meaning behind it? It seems a bit too elaborate for something that means absolutely nothing, but who knows? Finally, we have this secret message. It's pretty much invisible in normal conditions, and even if you grab the computer area map, it will not show up on the auto map. The only way to read it is either in the editor or by using the cheat code. You can find it near the entrance to the control room, and it reads, "Now the pale morning sings of forgotten things." You may be curious, so I looked it up, and apparently those are lyrics from the song The Lion's Roar by the Swedish folk band called First Aid Kit. That song has also appeared in the game The Long Dark. I have a link to the song if you're interested in listening to it. Yet again, I can't help but wonder if it has some kind of a deeper meaning, if it's related to the Mapset in any way. But part of me doesn't want to know the answer, as I enjoy the mystery of details like that. Here we go. Don't worry about those archviles, they're gonna teleport away. I'm heading straight towards the camp with the yellow skull key just to get this out of the way as quickly as possible. We're gonna have an archvile here, and because we don't have any other weapons, we'll have to use the berserk to get rid of him. Now this is exactly what we want to happen. We want him to be stuck in this little monster closet. Truth be told, even if he gets out, it's not the end of the world, because there are a lot of pillars here, so we have a lot of cover. Also, you better get used to this, because we're gonna have to do a lot of punching in 20x7. That switch that we've seen over there opens the way out, because we're actually trapped here, but I prefer to just get rid of everything here and then move on. Yeah, in 20x7 you have to be able to handle berserk punching revenants and hell knights, because there's just no other way around it. And it's not easy, especially in those fateful ports like PR Boom, because they do not modify the original behavior. But if you're playing in GZ Doom, the melee is much easier there. I guess some people might not even realize that, but try playing the same melee section in GZ Doom and then in PR Boom, and you're gonna see the difference. Here I'm trying to save some ammunition by punching this revenant, which is not the smartest thing to do, because we can lose a lot of health if we're not careful. This level does not have a lot of resources and it's easy to run out, so I always try to look for opportunities to berserk punch as many monsters as possible. As I mentioned earlier, this level can be quite confusing if you've never played it before, so I'll do my best to guide you through it. This is the hub area with the pillars and the well that we need to jump into. We're gonna go after the yellow key first, because like I said, there's just no way I can do the purple key room without more firepower. And here again, in an attempt to conserve ammo, I tried to get the Mancubus to infight with the Arachnotron. Also, you might have noticed that the torches here are behind transparent walls, and I'll take this opportunity to say something I've been meaning to say from the very beginning, from the very first episode of Stardate 20x6, and that is that I really do not approve of half-transparent textures in Doom. Especially because I prefer to play in software mode, and in software the transparency looks really bad. Now for the sake of these demos I've left the transparency on because I wanted to preserve the intended look of those levels, but normally I would like to have this turned off completely. And also there are a couple of transparent waterfalls and we wouldn't be able to see through them without the transparency, so that's why I left it on. This level looks really nice, much like the first one. I always like those kind of organic, natural environments in Doom. So here we're just trying to take control of the area. Once again I'm gonna attempt to get some of the monsters to infight. Preferably I want that Hell Knight to be infighting with the Revenants over there. And there we go. So now we're gonna have to open the bars leading to the Dark Archvile passage. And I have somehow managed to fail that jump. Now this is pretty incredible, that never happened before. But like I said, there will be a bunch of failed jumps in this run, unfortunately, which is kind of embarrassing. This run in general is kind of sloppy, and I would have re-recorded it if I had more time. This little tunnel leads to the secret soul spear that I mentioned in the intro, but we're gonna leave it for now, because I want to save it for later. You really cannot afford to waste resources on this level. It's so easy to run out, it's crazy. Right now I'll be heading towards the shrine. We don't really care about skipping any of the fights because we're doing a UV Max playthrough, but there's a secret plasma rifle that we need for the Dark Archvile cavern. This level is very mean when it comes to supplies because it really doesn't give you enough for the fights. The plasma rifle in particular is a big deal because you can only get it after doing one of the big fights if you're not going for the secret. But then without the plasma rifle, both of those fights are ridiculously hard, so I don't know how that was supposed to be played. I don't think I'll be able to finish any of those fights with just the rocket launcher. This Archvile is really nasty because he's stuck on a pillar, which makes it tempting to punch him, but then there's almost no cover here, and it's very easy to actually bounce off the wall and right into his line of sight when he's targeting you. Oh yeah, and I think this is the point where I'll just keep failing that one jump towards the island with the shrine, like over and over again, like 2 or 3 times in a row. And I don't know why, this jump really isn't that difficult. Maybe it's because you're getting shot at by the chain gunners or something? By the way, the chain gunners on the other side, we can't actually kill them because there are Archviles behind them and they keep resurrecting them. But the Archviles themselves can't be killed through normal means. They get crushed eventually, but until they do, we just have to keep either killing those chain gunners over and over or just avoiding them. It's kind of a neat trick. I think I've seen it for the first time in TNT. No, it was I think it was Plutonia, MAP02, when there were also chain gunners with Archviles behind them. It's a nice way of keeping the pressure on the player, but the problem I have with this is that you usually have no idea what eventually triggers the crushers that kill the Archviles. In the meantime, we finally made the jump. I don't want to go too far here because there's a trigger line that will unleash a couple of monsters, Cacodemons, Pain Elemental, and some imps, I think. Now with those chain gunners, there's always a chance that they're gonna die far enough from the Archviles that they're not gonna get resurrected. I think I'm gonna try to make that happen, but I don't think it's gonna work. Yeah, I'm trying to get them to infight because for some reason when I stand here, they can't actually hit me from there. It didn't work, but it was worth trying, so I think it's time to move on now. This fight would have been really straightforward if it wasn't for those chain gunners. As it is, it's actually kinda tricky because you don't want to stay out in the open too much. But thankfully we're not locked in, so we can just escape and take our time killing everything. And this is gonna be one of those boring segments where nothing interesting is gonna happen for a few minutes. This level is actually a lot more dangerous than it looks. It may not seem too intense so far, but it's designed in such a way that you can get into trouble quicker than you think. And of course another problem is that it takes a while to get to the really difficult fights. And believe me that the main encounters in this level are really hard. As I mentioned, the first one is gonna be the Dark Archvile cavern. Now that cavern is completely pitch black, but there are those squares on the floor, and when we step on them, the entire room lights up. But when we step off of them, it becomes dark again. This fight is gonna give you a lot of trouble the first time you play, there's no two ways about it, you're gonna die a lot there. But it's still nothing compared to the fight for the purple key, oh man. I'm gonna have a lot of things to say about that. This is the second time I've finished a successful UVMAX run of this map. As a result, this demo is not extremely exciting in a lot of places because I mostly play for survival. And of course I keep failing those damn jumps, which is always great. Anyway, right now we're going to the shrine. Or actually to the secret plasma rifle, but to do that we need to clear out the entire area. None of the upcoming encounters are particularly difficult, but we can't allow ourselves to be careless at this point. And this is still one of the easier levels in 20x7. I can almost play it casually for fun. I cannot beat it reliably, but at least it's not as overwhelming as later levels. Anyway, we're finally done with this place, we just have to grab the supplies and move on. And of course those chain gunners are not gonna make it easy. Okay, so here we have some more punching to do, but we also have to be careful because there are those revenants on the right. You might remember that we got them to hit one of the Hell Knights early on. That means that at least one of them should be infighting with the Knight, but I think in this case I actually got so lucky that two of them are infighting, but I'm not aware of it at this point. So you see, I'm observing them to see if they're actually angry with anyone. We actually have to get rid of them now, because once we emerge from the plasma rifle secret, there's gonna be an Archvile in that area. Though, thinking about it now, maybe it would have been better to just leave them alive, so that the Archvile does not resurrect them? I don't know. There's the shrine. As you can see, those keys are on pillars, and once we grab one of them, the other pillar is gonna rise up, so we can't grab it anymore. So right now I have to drop down and take care of everything on the ground level to make sure that I have a clean getaway once I once I grab the plasma rifle. And again, this is probably the most inefficient thing you can do, because we're gonna have to circle around and go back to the shrine again and then make the jump to the secret, but that's the safest way for me. Getting to the secret is also not entirely straightforward, because we have to make a rather tricky jump while being shot at by the chain gunners, but fortunately I think I do this on the first attempt. Of course I do enjoy jumping in first-person shooters, as I always say, but I do realize that it's probably not very entertaining to see someone fail the same jump over and over again. But back when I was recording this demo, I didn't even think if I was going to make those video series anyway, so I wasn't concerned with that. I just wanted to get out alive. So here's the secret. You need to jump onto that torch and then towards the ledge nearby. Then enter the teleporter, and here's the plasma rifle. This archvile is not really very dangerous, because we have so much space, and even if he resurrects someone, it doesn't really matter. Of course, it's set up in such a way that you're tempted to use the newly acquired plasma rifle to kill him, but it's better to save all the cells. Okay, now we're gonna grab that secret soul sphere that I've left behind earlier. I'm kinda bummed about having so little armor. There is a mega armor, but I wanna save it for the next big fight. The archvile room is really scary, but it's actually not as overwhelming as I used to think. I used to think it was nearly impossible to beat. I thought I had a pretty good strategy for it, but unfortunately, of course, in the successful demo I screw up this fight pretty badly. The biggest problem is that you have to be able to find your way in complete darkness. That's why I'll try to gently drop down into the room without crossing the line that activates the archviles. Now I have a moment to see where I'm actually supposed to be going. First, grab the rocket launcher and all the rockets, and then focus on the archviles on one of the ledges. After a few seconds, imps and I think 2 more archviles will start teleporting in the middle of the room. This entire gimmick with a completely pitch black room where you have to step on some platforms to light it up, now that's pretty interesting, but unfortunately I think that in this case it's just way too difficult and there's not enough time to make use of that. It's probably more doable on Herbie Plenty, but it's been a while since I played this level on that difficulty. I would like to see this concept in a fight that is a bit more manageable. Because here, I mean, you have to have the shape of this room in your brain already, because those platforms are not gonna help you. Anyway, right now I don't have a lot of ammo, so I'm gonna leave those 2 archviles for later. As you can see, a pretty difficult fight. The first time around you have absolutely no chance of surviving this. And here's the yellow key area. I considered adding this room to the list of interesting places in this level because it's kind of elaborate. It has it's like 2 parts of it are merged together. I don't know what it's supposed to be. Here you can see it a little bit better. I don't know, maybe Ribbiks just had no idea what to do with this area, so he just made up something that makes no sense, but I actually think it's pretty cool. And this is where we would normally get the plasma rifle. You know, I kept going on and on about how I needed a plasma rifle for the big fights, but I guess I was misremembering things here. Because I don't think I used the plasma rifle in a dark room. I think I just wanted to have as much ammunition as possible for the purple key fight. Oh, and here's the secret mega armor. You can actually try to punch this pain elemental, but I didn't want to risk it right now. And now I'm going for the teleporter, but I forgot that I haven't actually lowered it yet. We have to deal with one more encounter before we get to the purple key room. Somehow I've managed to completely forget about it, and if you can tell, I'm completely lost at this point. I have no idea where to go. The next encounter is kinda sloppy and I don't really like it. As you will see, it kind of depends on the monsters behaving in a specific way, and if they don't, then you might be in trouble. So we've got a bunch of monsters facing away from us, 2 khaki demons and a chain gunner on the tower. Now this is exactly what you want to happen. You want the chain gunner to hit both of the khaki demons so that you can focus on the monsters around you. However, there's also every chance in the world that the chain gunner will just not shoot at all, and then you'll have to deal with all the monsters around you and the 2 Kaki demons. Now this is still not an unwinnable situation, but you're probably gonna lose a lot of health. Oh, and in case you cannot read it, that little sign on the floor says it's a trap. And yes, I have noticed that little glitch with missing frames right here, but I'm not gonna fix it. Sometimes it happens when I try to record a demo replay, I don't know why, but I'm not fixing it this time, no way. Alright, I gotta stop here for a second because we need a little heart-to-heart regarding this upcoming section. This is probably the worst part of the entire level. This room. Now if you haven't played this, you might be a bit confused, so let me explain what's going on here. Actually, I'll just switch to the top-down view so you can have an easier time following what I have to say. We start in the top right corner of this square full of Hell Knights in the middle. The first thing we have to do is to follow those red arrows on the ground, trying not to upset too many knights. Once we get to the other side, we press the switch and the hell breaks loose. All of the knights get released, the ledge is lower and Kaki demons wake up, the cyber demon in front of us gets activated, a horde of imps and pain elementals starts warping in through the brown teleporters, 6 Arjvas guard the exit. Oh, and by the way, you have no cover here. So looking at that, you might be thinking, wow, this is pretty damn unfair. And you're absolutely correct, this is completely unfair. The amount of RNG involved is ridiculous. The cyber can blast you to bits the moment he wakes up. The Kaki demons might immediately block you off and get you stuck between the knights and the cyber. The vials might start sniping you in the worst possible moment. And also you get pretty much no resources here, just 2 soul spheres, a couple of rockets and shells behind the cyber demon. That's it. No armor, no cells, nothing. This is where 20x7 starts showing its true colors. Basically, if you don't have the correct strategy and enough resources from the previous sections, you're just gonna die, no 2 ways about it. I actually considered doing this bit as quickly as possible just to get it out of the way, but I cannot beat it without a plasma rifle and a lot of rockets. Getting out of here is simple enough. We grab the purple key, flip the switch that unblocks the vials in the ground level, then blast our way through the vials in the lifts and we're out. Easier said than done. Preferably you want to fire as many rockets as possible at them before lowering the wall and then use plasma. The biggest issue, however, is the start. RNG aside, we want to grab the rocket launcher and circle around the Kaki demons to get into the position from which we can attack the vials. I found that punching the air after pressing the switch helps because it makes sure everything wakes up, which increases the chances of infighting. However, Kakis might very well go backwards and block your way. If that happens, you're dead. And like I said, there's really no cover here. You can use the corners near the vials to avoid their attacks, but then you're luring everything else towards you. You can hide in a Cyberdemon alcove, but then you'll probably get cornered there instantly. This entire situation is nonsensical and I can't beat it reliably. If you can do this, then you can give yourself a pat on the back. Anyway, let's have a look. And here we go. First, the Hell Knight corridor. This is not too difficult, but if you're unlucky you might get scratched pretty badly. Yeah, punch the air, grab the rocket launcher and circle around. Now focus on the archvalve as much as you can. I'm kinda rushing it, but there's really no room for hesitation here. I just wanna escape this horrible place as quickly as possible. That was pretty bad, but there are 2 soul spheres here, so it's fine. And the lifts here are kinda weird, because if you press the rightmost one, the leftmost one lowers. So it's like it's kind of reversed here. I'm pretty sure the only reason for this is just to screw you over if you try to escape. Okay, out of the woods now, so right now we're pretty much completely safe, we just have to be careful around those archviles. Now I'm gonna spend some time trying to get them all to infight over there, but unfortunately they cannot see us from here, so it's kinda tricky. As long as I can hear the Cyberdemon shooting someone, then it's good. Though honestly, I'm not sure if me standing here is actually doing something to help with the infighting. But I think you understand that I'm kind of in a state of shock right now, because this is the first time I got through this fight, so I'm just kind of resting a bit. I've seen demos of people beating this fight without escaping, and honestly I have no idea how they do it, because to me it's inconceivable. I might have succeeded once or twice during practice, but I couldn't do this reliably. And yeah, we can hear the monsters dying, so someone's infighting there. Here's a little bonus room for players who have already gathered both of the keys. You get a cell pack and a megasphere, which is really good. So now we have some cleanup to do. We have to get rid of all the monsters that are still alive on the level and go back to the purple key room and kill everything there. First we have this Baron, and then I think I'm gonna go after the chain gunners, you know, the ones in the dark passage that kept being resurrected by the Archviles. I actually don't remember what triggers the crusher that kills the Archviles, but they should be dead by now. This is actually gonna take a couple of minutes, so let's talk about the finale. Thankfully in this level we don't have anything outrageously difficult at the end. After we jump into the well, we drop down into a room that is very dark and it has a lot of monsters facing away from us. There's even a shh message on the floor, so we know that we have to be quiet and kind of navigate this little maze to get somewhere. Eventually you find a switch that kind of opens everything up and then we can kill everyone. To be quite honest, that's my least favorite part of this level. It seems kind of weird and I don't know. I don't really see the reason for it. The map could have just ended right there. I mean, the place itself doesn't look very interesting, the fight itself is not very interesting, the whole thing seems kind of tacked on, if you ask me. I actually wanted to cheese that last fight because I didn't feel like figuring it out, honestly. But thankfully I failed at that, which forced me to do it the regular way, which was a lot faster. Oh, and look at that, everything is dead except for the Cyber Demon and one lost soul. Now this is very lucky. Sometimes you might get a couple of Pain Elementals, a couple of other monsters. Now Pain Elementals in particular are a problem because if there are a lot of souls, then they might block you as you're trying to dodge the Cyber Demon. And we're almost done here, just a couple of things left. We have to go to the control room to raise the lift that will take us to the well. Yeah, so if you get to this point, you should be able to beat the level. Like, there's nothing really difficult anymore. It's just wrapping things up and the finale and that's it. And here's the control room. We press both switches and now we can get into the well. However, I will notice very soon that there's something I'm missing, unfortunately. There's something... the monster count does not add up to what I've seen during practice. Can you guess what I've missed? There are some enemies that I've left for later and I completely forgot about them. Yeah, it's the vials. Honestly, situations like this always make me anxious because I always feel like there must have been some monster that didn't teleport or something and you know, I finished all the difficult fights and now due to some design error I can't get a successful UV max. You can also see something like that in map 6 because I had a similar situation where like I was at the point where everything should have been dead, all of the monsters should have been dead, but there was one enemy left somewhere and I almost had a heart attack because it seemed like some monster didn't teleport and I was like, okay, it took me so long to beat this and now I can't get a legit UV max. But yeah, thankfully that was just my mistake and I managed to find that enemy. I'm actually looking forward to showing you that demo because that was actually surprisingly one of the smoothest demos I've ever had in this set. In the meantime, let's jump into the well. And here we are. We can only see the dark silhouettes of monsters, which is a pretty neat effect. The room itself is very dark, but the walls are lit up. So like I said before, I'm gonna try to be fancy and kill the Archviles in this room and basically stay there until all the monsters kill themselves. But I failed almost immediately, which again, it was for the better because now I'm forced to do it the intended way, which is faster. Fun fact, I have actually never played this fight this way. This is the first time because I always felt like, oh, this is it's too risky to try to do it the regular way, so I'm just gonna cheese it. Because, you know, I was trying to minimize the risk. I thought that if I manage to beat this damn box with a purple key, then I don't want any more trouble in this level. But it actually turned out that this fight is really easy and quite fun. I mean, again, it's nothing special and I honestly feel like this level would have been fine without it, but at least it's not very difficult. It's pretty tense because we have a couple of Archviles here, as you can see, but it's tense but easy, which is kind of my thing. I like it when the fight seems kind of difficult, but it actually isn't. And at least for once, Ribbiks gives us a lot of cells for this fight. Better late than never. I guess the fact that I've managed to beat this fight on the first attempt shows that it's really not overwhelming. Okay, so since there's been an overwhelming amount of attention to this series after the last episode, by which I mean there was like one person who expressed interest, I came to a conclusion that this obviously warrants an official update on the current situation. So last month for a few weeks I've been pretty much swamped with work, and as a result I had no energy left to even think about recording anything new. But I took that opportunity to return to my Doom map set that I'm working on. Now, this map set is not officially revealed yet, but if you're interested and you're not on Doom World, then I'll probably post something about it here as well, whenever the time comes for that. Anyway, as a result of that, I got so immersed in mapping that I didn't really feel like spending time on this series because I wanted to wrap up a level that I started like 2 years ago. And now I did, so as a break from mapping, I made this episode. And I think that this might continue, and I'll keep switching back and forth between mapping and the commentaries so that whenever I feel a little tired of doing one thing, I'll jump back to the other. I gotta say I kinda have too many things that I wanna do, and I'm trying to get better at managing that. Because there's work, there are games to play, there are these commentaries, there's a Doom map set, and I also have my music project that is kind of on hold right now, but I'll resurrect it at some point because I want to eventually go back to making music, and of course I'll also make my own music for the Doom map set, so that's also on the table. If you're interested in that, I'll have, I think I should have the links in the channel description, but if not, I'll just add them under the video. So yeah, current plan, continue the Doom map set, make commentaries somewhere in between, and I'll try not to take a month to make the next video, but I'd rather not make any promises on that. Basically, because I do all of those things for fun, I always prioritize what I'm the most excited about at the moment, so that I get the most enjoyment out of the process. Because I don't want to force myself to do something I don't feel like doing unless I'm obligated to, and the result is always better when I'm actually passionate about the project. And yeah, as you might have guessed, I still haven't played those last 2 levels of 20x7, and honestly at this point I think that's not gonna happen anytime soon. I'm just not in the mood for that right now. I'd rather spend some time mapping than figuring out those levels. I mean, I will eventually feel like challenging myself again, so then I'll come back to that. Anyway, I think this is everything for now. Thank you for watching, and well, see you sometime soon.